Hopeful that a deal to end Russia's war with Ukraine's made progress. The president made the comments after urgent weekend talks happened in Geneva to amend a U.S.-backed proposal. That 28-point plan that was presented last week did cause alarm by heavily aligning with Moscow's demands. It called on Ukraine to hand over territory, to reduce its army, and pledge to never seek entry into NATO. European and Ukrainian leaders said while progress was made, more still has to be done. It's not clear if Russia will accept the amended version. President Trump says he wants a deal signed by Thursday. And Congressman Mike Quigley is the co-chair of the Congressional Ukraine Caucus.
He joins us in studio now to discuss these developments. I know as we head into the holidays, people had so much hope. There has been so much bloodshed. So let's talk about the two peace plans negotiated. One by U.S. legislators, the other by President Trump, vastly different. Given the way things are so in flux, what do you believe about the possibility for a peace plan?
I think the biggest barrier is the fact that Putin has never come off his maximalist demands. He wants to keep the territory that they invaded. He doesn't want Ukraine to ever be able to join NATO, and he wants to reduce the size of the army. So if we give him any of those things, we have rewarded extraordinarily bad behavior. I've been to Ukraine 5 times since the war started. I stood on mass graves. I have heard firsthand from the parents whose kids were kidnapped and taken into Russia. I've been in formerly occupied territories. To reward Putin now with any of the demands that he's asking for is just to encourage other tyrants across the world that bad behavior will be rewarded.
Does that mean then, Congressman, that you see the war going on beyond this? And what about European voices in all of this? I know this is a Russia, Ukraine, American deal, but what about other nations that also have skin in the game, as it were?
Well, they have a lot of skin in the game because, you know, I've been to the Baltics and Poland as well during the conflict, and they will tell you that they know they're next. That if Putin gets what he wants here, he will restock and take a few years to get his army back to full force, and he will go back and finish the job. We're helping to fight this war for Ukraine because for the same reasons we fought the Second World War. We understand that it is a moral imperative and a strategic and tactical one as well.
And clearly President Zelensky feels that way. He wants to remain strong and not give up any of that land. When you are on the ground there, how do the people feel? People who have lost fathers and brothers and children in some cases. Do they support that as well?
Oh, absolutely. The last time I was there, we were about 50 miles from the Russian border in formerly occupied territory. That entire town was put into one basement, where obviously many of them died as a result of that. For the entire time of the occupation, as we were leaving, a woman through an interpreter said to me, "You know, if you don't help us, the Russians will be back." We need to keep that in mind.
Wow. Well, as long as we have you here, Congressman, we also want to get some of your other thoughts on other big stories that have been happening in Washington. Primarily, you have been a big critic of President Trump, first term, the second term. What is your reaction to the charges getting dropped against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James? And where's this fight going to go? Because it seems like the Department of Justice is not ready to let this go, despite the judge's ruling today.
Yeah, I mean, the judge ruled for procedural reasons that the appointment didn't take place within the statutory prescribed period. So they're just going to refile. They're going to go back. I think there'll be some interesting issues with the Comey case because of the statute of limitations. There is a wild amount of hypocrisy here in that Roger Stone went to jail for perjuring himself. Under my questioning, Trump commuted that sentence. So apparently he doesn't mind who's lying, if you're lying to Congress, as long as it's somebody, your friend. So that selective enforcement is pretty scary. You have to worry about a president of the United States having the ability to decide who to prosecute and who not to prosecute.
All right, we also learned today the Pentagon investigating Senator Mark Kelly. He and others, of course, urging members of the military to defy orders that they believe are illegal. I'm wondering if this puts those service members in any jeopardy.
Yeah, let's remember what they said and who made that request. Senator Kelly and the others are veterans of either the military or the intelligence community. They all served valiantly for our country. They were just restating the law. They were telling active duty members of the military, you can disobey an unlawful order. This is the existing law. There's obvious concerns that the President of the United States will order people through Hegeth to commit unlawful acts. And they were just stating this. For the President of the United States to then call this sedition and to threaten their lives, understanding the wild, violent political climate that's out there, that's crazy, that's outrageous, and very, very dangerous.
All right, Congressman Mike Quigley, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time
Anytime.
and your
Thank you.
insight from Washington.
Appreciate it.